Hey everybody, Jim here, and welcome back to the Weird Science Manga and Anime Podcast, where we're going to go through Chapter 2 of Spy Family on an episode that me and Luke did a little while back. I'm putting this out again because the anime just hitting everybody, loving that. So I figured that we'd put this back on the feed where next week starts May, we're going to start our big deal where we're going to have our Reading Club podcast, our manga Reading Club podcast, where you end up having a new schedule. The schedule will be in the show notes. You can check that out. I'll give it to you right here. Anyway, we have our Manga Monday show on Monday, obviously, but then starting next Tuesday, the Reading Club start. Tuesdays will always be My Hero Academia. Wednesdays will be Jujutsu Kaisen. Thursdays will be Demon Slayer. Friday, Chainsaw Man. Saturdays, Death Note, and Sunday, Dragon Ball. And we'll be going through a chapter a week with each of them. So each day, you'll get a tiny little podcast with that chapter, each going on in succession. And also, I wanted to jump on here as well to let everybody know that from now on, the Manga Monday show will actually feature Jason's anime corner. I almost said manga corner, but it's anime corner, and you'll hear that in a second. I'm going to end up talking here for a second. I'll go away. Jason will jump on, do his anime stuff, and then we'll get into the episode with me and Luke talking about Spy Family Chapter 2. And then starting next week, we end up just going with that new schedule. Manga Monday shows all that stuff going on. It'll make more sense if you look at the show notes and also if you tune in. But if you do want to start from Chapter 1 with stuff like My Hero Academia, Jujutsu Kaisen, Demon Slayer, Chainsaw Man, Death Note, Dragon Ball, we're going to be there to go through all of those and what I hope everybody can enjoy and have fun with, stuff that a lot of people have already read but might want to get back to, going through again with us, or also maybe it's your first time going through those, maybe even your first time listening and reading manga. That'd be awesome. That's what we kind of want to get more people involved. But with all of that, again, look at the show notes. It'll all make sense next week as well. But now I'm going to take it off to Jason and then me and Luke talking about Spy Family.
Greetings, manga fans, and happy spring anime season. Anime, much like the real world, has 4 seasons each and every year. That means that every 3 months, a fresh new crop of shows appears. Since I'm a guy who especially loves the beginnings of stories, that's like 4 extra Christmas mornings. Over the past few weeks, I have sampled at least 1 episode of 17 of these new shows, most of them at least pretty good, and now I'm going to tell you about 3 of my early favorites. First, and most briefly, is Spy Family. This anime is based on the Shonen Jump manga that you may have heard discussed on episodes of the Fairy Weekly show. It's already a hit in Japan and seems to be universally beloved by everyone not named Jim or Luke. Dad's a spy, mom's an assassin, the kid's a psychic, it's great stuff. Watch it on Crunchyroll. The next 2 shows were a little more under the radar. When I turned on the first episode of Ya Boy Kong Ming, I had literally zero idea what I was in for. What I've since learned is that Kong Ming is a figure out of early Chinese history, specifically the Three Kingdoms era. This is a period that shows up repeatedly in Chinese and Japanese works of fiction, kind of like the times of King Arthur or the Roman Empire in Western culture. Kong Ming is one of those figures where it's hard to separate history from legend. He was a writer, an inventor, and a military strategist. Think William Shakespeare, Benjamin Franklin, and Napoleon all rolled up into one. Anyway, leaving history and returning to the show, we open with the death of Kong Ming back in the year 234 AD. Kong Ming closes his eyes and then opens them again in what he thinks must be hell. He's surrounded by loud noises, flashing lights, and masses of strangely dressed people. Turns out he's not in hell exactly, just the Shibuya district of modern-day Tokyo on Halloween. Kong Ming wanders into one of Shibuya's many clubs, where he is immediately enthralled by a young woman singing. Unfortunately for the woman, whose name is Aiko, Kong Ming is just about the only one paying attention to her. Everyone else is busy talking and drinking. Kong Ming befriends Aiko and pledges to use his legendary strategical skills to bring her the fame and fortune he knows her talents deserve. If that sounds silly, absolutely is. But the characters are charming and sharply drawn. One of my favorites is the owner of the club, who turns out to be a huge Three Kingdoms nerd, and gives Kong Ming a bartending job, mostly so he can pick Kong Ming's brain about what really happened all those years ago. Check this show out on the High Dive streaming service. The last show I want to tell you about today is called Daemon, which sounds like it should be about collecting cute little demon monsters, but is actually about a young man from Kyoto whose family runs a traditional Japanese sweet shop. The man, Nagamu, has left the family business to run off to Tokyo to be in a band. When he hears that his dad has been having health problems, coincidentally just when his bandmates have decided that maybe the show business thing isn't working out, Nagamu decides to return to his roots and prepare to take over the shop. When he arrives home, he finds that his place has been usurped. His aging parents have informally adopted a 10-year-old girl named Itsuka, whose parents abandoned her there. Itsuka is a dynamo and far more devoted to the shop than Nagamu ever was. She has some abandonment issues, having been abandoned and all, and feels a need to prove her usefulness. It seems the story will focus on the relationship between Nagamu and Itsuka, which has characteristics of a rivalry but also a fatherly-daughterly feeling to it. The preceding synopsis could not convey two important things about the show. Number one, how funny it is, and two, how beautiful it is. Having the kid be the straight man and the adult be the goofball is a fun little reversal of the more typical comedy dynamic. And the art style of the show is something truly different from everything else out there. The backgrounds especially have a watercolor quality that makes me want to fly off to Kyoto, sit by a stream, and enjoy a plateful of wagashi. This show, too, is available on Crunchyroll. Now, as always, if there are other shows, new or old, that you'd like me to check out, please let me know through the usual channels. I'll be back to talk anime with you again next week, likely with some more premature evaluations from the spring 2022 anime season. Now, back to Luke and Jim.
We are fighters, we fight until we win. The stairs are long, though the breadth of all that is and been. Ghost detectives, only the strong survive. We made the final round, now we try to stay alive. Manga Monday, heading to outer space. Manga Monday, together all the worlds will face. Manga Monday, fight to live and live to fight. Manga Monday, never stop till we get it right.
Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the Weird Science Manga and Anime Podcast, where it's another Manga Monday, and I'm here with my man Luke. What up, Luke?
What up, Jim?
What up? And we're here to introduce a show that we obviously did, I think, 14 some weeks ago, a little more than that.
Numbers.
And it was one of the funny things that if you are listening to just the Manga Monday show, you'll be like, well, wait a second. Why are they doing a chapter 2? This is the only one so far that we have continued with. And it was because I had done on my own on another deal the first chapter. Well, because of all that, I ended up thinking that it was a better idea than for us to also talk about chapter 1 again. So we threw that in as the last of the Shonen Explosion show. I wish I had the explosion sound effect there. So if you hadn't listened to that, if you're there, oh my God, and it's Spy Family, Mission 2, what about Mission 1? Don't look under the Manga Monday type of designation. Try to find it. It's in the Shonen Explosion on the same feed. Yeah, it's a couple months back. We ended up doing that. But with all of
this chapter is nearly big enough to be another chapter 1 by itself.
I was glad about that because you end up having Twilight being the big focus of the first, and Anya, too, being the first chapter. But you end up, by the end of that, they need to find a mother, right? They need to do, and that is what happens in this chapter with Yor.
Oh, my goodness.
This is one of the things where it's the idea where the first chapters, we always say, you get the character work, you get the story, whatnot, you fall in love with the cat, whatnot. This is basically like, it's a second first chapter because it ends up, and it actually ramps it up a bit as well into pretty much, I think that when this was coming out, you were reading it right when it came out, right? Yeah, I was not. But I think that it would really point to you like, boy, you know what? This is kind of something special here, this Spy Family, because of how good it really came out of the blocks like that. I can't remember what we ended up giving this or what we talked about. Yeah, I think so. And the funny thing is, I don't remember actually when we went back to chapter 1 or mission 1, if I liked the first or the second one more.
Remember, this is the one that has the grenade pin for the ring.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Crispy.
Yeah, it had a lot of good stuff too. But it's just, this series is pretty good. And if you're not reading it at all, you should go and do that. Now,
Absolutely.
with this too, I want to point out, because our man Stork always wondered about that. Like, this is still the first and second chapters are available on the Shonen Jump app for free, even if you don't have a subscription. So you can go, anybody can go to that, download the app, and get that in a smart way, because you end up reading that. Then you want to go on. I think the third one, as well as like the last couple as well. But yeah, you can read these for free. And I think that if you did, it might be it actually is worth getting the subscription just for this book. But then there's so many others.
You can get on Manga Plus as well. So
yeah, you can do that as well. Yeah, there are options. So check that out. Anything else, Luke? Well, I guess we should give the intro of everything else, since this is that. Go over to the Twitter at Weird Manga. Follow us. We'll follow you back, and you can give us suggestions for Manga Monday and the anime and everything. Also, go to our Patreon, patreon.com/Weird Science Manga. And you would have been able to listen to this 14 weeks ago. Is what the whole thing is set up. So, yeah, you'll be able to hear everything right away. It's all there for as little as $3 a month. I think that's worth it. Almost as good as the Shonen Jump app. Almost.
Wow.
You know, nothing's going to beat it. I can't even lie.
The best deal in podcasts?
I can't even lie. Maybe. I can't even lie and tell you that it's a better deal than the show. But
the best deal in comics.
Yes. So everybody check that out. Go over to the page, and everything is in our show notes. But with that, on to the show. Yes, it is Manga Monday. I'm here with Luke Hollywood, and as you heard, I still haven't gotten that new theme yet.
It's down the pipeline. It's coming.
It's in the works.
Okay.
You can talk to Luke about all the things I've told him that are in the works. Mark Jager, I have him ready to do about 70 voiceovers. I keep getting ideas. This is where
you
Mark
are
Jager,
good for the ideas. Big ideas.
Well, I'm an idea man.
Yes.
And Mark Jager has filled in a nice little slot for R.I.P. Reggie, where I would just spout off nonsense to Reggie, and then Reggie would just say, "That's a good idea." And then I'd be like, I'm not that down with it anymore. But I have a bunch of things that I talked to Mark about, just little things, little nuggets. My big plan was for the regular podcast, I wanted to change. Every time we have a new year, I do want to change stuff to make it seem like it's, and a new type of deal. I'm not one for any sort of resolutions. I mean, really. How can you change perfection? I mean, really, right? But I like to get the idea that each year, like, maybe people could look for, I wonder what little changes that they'll do. And there really isn't any. But the idea, I wanted to have skits. Me and Eric always wanted to have little skits between. That was where, like, Guy Kid and stuff went in. But I wanted to have things for each episode where you live. Then I thought maybe instead of that, we'll have like some sort of editorial deal. Then I wanted the People's Court. I didn't know what I was talking about. I keep telling them I have half scripts written and ready to go, and they never work out. But here we are for Manga Monday, when we record on a Sunday. We're like Solomon Grundy, the reverse, right? We're Grundy Solomon, I think. But we're here. Yeah, we're here to talk about a book that both of us really love. And it's a second chapter. And is this the second chapter me and you are dealing with?
Yeah. Wow.
Yeah, I thought so. Because there's so many things. And the at the end, I even said earlier, the shame of it is we won't get to, chapter 3 in a while. Now we are talking about Spy Family, Spy X Family, Spy 10 Family, if you're Jonathan Hickman.
No, thanks.
We just call it Spy Family, right? Yes. And this is chapter 2, and we'll get into it. And you have some info even about chapter 1 and stuff like that. But what's funny is me and you had that same reaction. Now, you have read this before, obviously, but you're going back to reread it. And last week you told me at the end of the deal, hey, we're doing Spy Family. Okay, I go to read it as well. And I'm like, what the heck is this? A long second chapter? What's going on? I'm thinking, what is this, a trend? It makes sense to me. And I'll even say right now, I like the idea that you're getting a full first chapter for as you did for Twilight at the beginning. I think that is the play. Now, before we go into things, I did watch Naruto, too. I watched episode 1 of Naruto, and I really liked it. I had a lot of fun with it. It's really good. If anybody listened to it and they're like, I've never watched the anime, I say to get it, you do get a more charged up Naruto in my mind. Like, he is on the page, he's pretty over. he is over the top. He gets to the point where when me and you went through the manga saying, you know what, he's up and he doesn't have an attention span, but he doesn't get annoying. He gets almost to the point of annoying at points in that anime in my mind. But it plays out well. I like it. Also, you end up having a little more of a relationship going on, or at least hints of that with the other kids and stuff like that I thought was pretty good as well. But pretty accurate to the deal in my mind. And I had a lot of fun. I actually listened to the dub, and boy,
the dub's pretty good, isn't it?
I liked it.
Yeah.
I like to be a snob, especially back in the day. I told you, I was ordering fan subs off of eBay. Actually, not even eBay. It was some sort of trade bulletin board.
Dark web.
And at one point, I ended up, because I thought, okay, I like these fan subs. And I even got the program that you do it. It ends up being able to translate some stuff already. But I can't speak Japanese. But the one thing, though, is that then I heard, oh my God, what about fan subs and fan dubs?
Whoa.
And I fashioned myself as maybe being able to do some voice acting. And I thought that, and again, I just like stupid voices and trying to do them and things like that.
We already know you can do Kobe and you can do Mr. Sakamoto.
Yes, exactly. My biggest problem, though, is as I kind of tried to play around with that, I never did, go any steps with it. But for myself, I can't keep a weird voice accurate throughout.
You can't keep it consistent?
No, I can't keep it consistent at all. So I knew, and I gave it up. But I had dreams at one point.
Big dreams.
And so I always do appreciate when you get a dub that is good, but also that makes me giggle because it's so over the top at points and things. And I'll tell you, when we get into the second chapter of Spy Family, the talk between the office gals and how they are talking with I told everybody, I don't hear voices in my head, out of normal life. I hear them then when I'm just walking around. But when I'm reading I don't hear Kevin Conroy as Batman when I read. This is something that does not mesh with my brain. It's just a blank. I'm reading. I actually could hear almost these girls talking because the dialogue to me is so perfect.
Oh yeah.
And even the pacing of it and the
back and forth.
Back and forth. I could hear those, and I'm talking like generic lady voices in anime that are usually in a crowd or somebody, not main characters. And I'm like, boy, when are they going to do this? Because they need to. Is there anything in the works?
You could do generic lady voice, Jim. There you go. Another feather in your cap.
Apparently, the perp broke into the cabinet.
That's great.
Isn't that great? But before we start in our little intro that you're going to go through with all the, is there any plans of any anime going on? Is there one already in Japan that I'm not aware of?
You want me to reveal the big secret already?
Yes.
Geez. No,
I need to know. Plans. Why? This is so perfect for it. This actually has again, I know that Sakamoto Days is not going to be the pinnacle of all manga for the rest of time immortal, right? But this has that same thing that I love, and it's kind of a formula where I'm going with the idea of really good characters, but also gag stuff, also action, and this
it's the perfect package.
We said Sakamoto Days would be a good anime, not like this. Spy Family. It's criminal that there isn't something yet, though it's kind of early in the game, I guess, for things. But
it isn't really.
I know they have to do. Maybe it's the thing. It's popular, right? Is it as popular as I would hope it would be? Just Spy Family. Is it doing well?
Yeah, it's doing well. It's doing well. Trust me.
Maybe what we're doing is the Black Clover type deal that they want to wait, and let's wait until maybe there's a little lull. We talked about this at one point too, where if it's doing great, there's no reason to chance anything else going wrong and rocking the boat, maybe. But boy, it could really get even better. It's made for this. It's made for an anime, but also made for a manga that we're going to enjoy talking about. So you go into this. This is for Ruben, like we said. So this was one of his, Mr. Prince of Tennis over there.
Mr. Prince of Tennis branching out.
Yes, Prince of Tennis Ruben. I got to start calling him that in the roll call.
Oh, bless up.
Everybody, I'll just, as long as by the end of the time we do the podcast before the retirement, everybody on the roll call has to have a manga nickname. That's all we have to have.
Batman Beyond Mark, Sailor Moon Mark now. That's the rules.
Yes.
That's
I was just going to call him Vigilantes Mark, but I like Sailor Moon Mark better. Sailor Moon Mark. It really
it rolls off the tongue, doesn't it?
It does. But give us some info.
Well, as you were saying, this is Spy Family Chapter 2 by Tatsuya Endo. First published in Weekly Show, or digitally even, not in Weekly Shonen Jump. This is a digital first title. And you remember we were saying that, the digital titles that's where it is these days? Because this is one of them. It was first published via the Jump Plus app in Japan from March 25th, 2019. So, as you were saying, thinking about why this hasn't gone anime, it is still fairly fresh off them old presses, 2019. That's I suppose 2 years. So it comes out. The thing is, it comes out bi-weekly, and I think that is the kicker, because
is it that they want to get more in the can, as they say, before you go? Then they might end up having a problem with not having... It seems weird.
And you don't want to fill it up with filler, because
that's what I'm saying.
That would ruin things. We just got Chapter 39 today. It just dropped today.
I just looked, yes.
Yeah. But, Chapter 39 and 6 volumes are out. 6 volumes are out in Japan. 3 volumes in the West, which is pretty good, because usually, we're a lot more than just 3 volumes behind. So that kind of goes to show, it's fairly popular here as well, if they're cranking out the volumes that early. The big thing here is that 8 million copies have been sold in Japan.
Really?
And
this is what I'm talking... This is what I say to these people when they're talking to me about, oh man, that manga stinks, and there's something to it, where if they had a Batman comic that sold 8 million, people would be going nuts. These things, I don't get it. And I'm actually, while you're doing this, I'm on the Manga Plus app to see how many of these comments on Chapter 1, and there's 280, which isn't the greatest, but almost all the top comments, at least the current ones, are, why isn't there an anime? I just wanted to tell you that's what basically everybody's talking about on it, because it does deserve it. Go on.
But that's the thing. When, or it's a matter of when, not if. I think because if you're selling 8 million, you're going to get animated. Things far less popular have gotten that already. But when it does get animated, it's going to be pack it up, pack it in, close down shop. Everybody else is not going to have a chance.
Pack it up, pack it in. I thought you were doing House of Pain there.
There you go. That's old people music.
We're going to jump around here.
I don't know what you're talking
about. And if you say House of Pain is old people music, I give up. I give up. But so it's so good, and it deserves. And when you're reading something like this, and you can just say, please, just put this right on the screen, and it would work right away. You don't even have to tweak anything.
I think I know we say a lot of the times, the live action stuff, I could even see, this concept is so good. I could see it work live action. I could see anime, movie, whatever way you want it. Stage play, forget about it. Stage play would go through the roof.
Stage play would be the best. I wonder how they do. How would they do the idea that somebody is reading minds? Anya's reading minds. Do you think you'd have a separate person off stage that has the mic that does the minds? The narrator like that? Would you do that? That'd be cool. Yeah, even... with this, it's funny because a lot of people even, going with this and going, it's just Mr. and Mrs. Smith, I've seen this. It's not. It actually has some twist about it. And one of the big things as we go is that they actually both need each other. And then they kind of like each other at first. But we'll talk about that while we go in. But keep going with the info.
Well, the last thing, since this is our first Chapter 2, I thought we'd give everybody a little bit of a recap. Because even it kind of threw me off when you open up Chapter 2 and then you don't know what's going on exactly at the start. So we'll fill everybody in here. In the last chapter, we met Agent Twilight, who is the super spy undercover, and he's in the country of Ostania, Jim. Try saying that 5 times fast. He takes a new mission. He takes on a new mission which requires him to enroll in the prestigious private school academy known as Eden Academy, and to do this, he needs a brand new family. Hence, the family part of the Spy X family business. Oh my goodness! And this is where he adopts the persona of Lloyd Forger, the psychiatrist. And he kind of, we see even in this chapter, that's the definition of that role and what he does exactly. He bends that a little, probably more than the normal psychiatrist would. But he gets that role, and then he adopts a telepathic 6-year-old called Anya, who is a gem, and you love her gem so much.
Yes, I love her.
The thing is, he doesn't know that she's a telepath, and obviously she knows that he's a spy because that's how the telepath stuff works. Yes, and she's able to pass the initial entrance exam into the school, but they find out at the very end of the chapter that next up is family interviews, and both parents are required to attend that.
Yeah,
so
and what I get in this is Japan's academies, they're not woke.
No,
they don't care about having. Yeah, they don't care if you are a single father or mother with a kid.
That's not
you're
woke.
out. You're out. That isn't. And really, with the idea, it's funny because Twilight himself and the spy agency, like, they didn't think this through to make the story that Twilight goes with. Now, again, I guess these hoity-toity Japanese academies, they don't care if your wife died. They, that sort of thing. Now, if it's a messy divorce, maybe they'd have some issue. But the idea where, Twilight has to even, go with the story and change things on the fly and things like that, and ends up where he says, the story, my wife died, and that seemed like that would have worked for the Academy as well. The problem is that throughout this, and what I do like going into this chapter and then continuing with it, is Twilight's not quite on his game. He keeps mentioning that he's not as aware of things.
This
he's
whole
messing
mission
up
is
a
throwing
little.
him off.
It is throwing him completely off. And I like the idea of that because you end up with that also, and how he treats Anya. At first, kind of, real cold, whatnot, and at first, but you can see even that he's still, even here, he's not lovey-dovey or anything, but you can tell at points that he does care and he wants to get things done, but he doesn't feel bad. You know what I mean? Like, the idea, he's never a dick. He might be doing his job. He thinks his Anya is part of the job. Then he's going to think of Yor as part of that and all this combined or whatever. But he's never, like, it could have been played out as an abusive jerk.
Oh, yeah.
And that would have,
he's
the
never
whole thing.
Completely cold about it. There is a heart there, in behind all the spy stuff,
Yeah, and here's where I also want to point out that a lot of times when you're reading some, DC, Marvel, or Indie, or whatever the case may be, at this point, they would have gone ad nauseum about how he trained and what he was and all that. And you see here, you don't need that. Yeah, that'll be things you can fill in later. And I think that's what, especially the first chapters. And as I said, I look at this as a second first chapter because it's long, but it's also where you're going to fully bring Yor in. And you want to have her as an equal type character in it. So I think she does deserve a full out first chapter so you can get to know her as well. And again, it's the magic of the manga, I like to call it, where by the end of this, I know enough about Yor to fall in love with her, not as much as Anya. I don't like her as much as Twilight either. I like her a little less than those two, but it's probably because we started out with them. And it's kind of like, it almost acts like an idea of she is now like the stepmother that comes into the family. And I don't need that right now. You ain't my mother, I'm yelling at her. But I do like that even she has basically the characteristics. All you have to know about her is she's very timid. She doesn't like to mingle. But yet she's an assassin and even uses her looks, it seems, as part of that. So it's such a good juxtaposition to make a character. And you see that she really cares about her brother. That's all I need. You know what I mean? I don't need to know how many people she killed yet or what she does or whatnot. I just like to see this. And now, with the next chapter, having the three together fully, I'm looking forward to that. But this one, it's good. Now, you told me before that you like it better than the first. And I'll
really
slap
like
you. I'll slap your face, is what I'll do.
I know you like Anya, but I'm hoping I'm going to be Team Yor.
I'm Team chapter. Anya, through and through. And Anya isn't really featured in this, but when she does, she shows that she is the gem of this. I mean, I'm telling you, and it's played out so well, and that the idea that Twilight doesn't know. what's going on and that she kind of cheated on all that stuff that she used her telepathic abilities to do plays off so well in this as she's just standing there looking at an assassin and a spy and getting all excited because even when the narration just pops up again of like, there's Anya. She likes to have fun and is kind of bored right now. Well, things are going to get crazy. It's basically she always likes to have something going on. But the big thing about this, and we'll get full into this, but the big thing about it is that you have Twilight, the spy. He's one of the best, right? One of the best spies.
Oh, yeah.
If he didn't pick Anya, he would have been screwed. This never would have been able to happen because she has realized what the mission is through her telepathy and has skewed the things all around, including in this one where Yor would have left. It was over.
Oh,
but
yeah.
you end up having Anya. Yeah, she saves the day every issue. That's what's great about her. Even in an issue she's not really featured. And what's great is Twilight, he thinks that he's off his game, but a lot of it isn't his game. It's her game, and she is playing a game. She is having a ball.
Podcast?
It is. I love her. Jeez. I love her. She is, and now really, she pops up one claw and starts stabbing people like Gabby, and I've now found my favorite thing of all time. Not even just characters, but it'll evolve over some freaking Star Wars. But you end up starting off, they need a mother. They need a wife for this interview. And the tech guy, he decides that he's going to be it. And it's like the most monstrosity. It's just awful. He's there with a wig. And the funny thing is, because it's been a while since I read the first, I didn't know what was going on at that point.
It's like very cold open, so it threw me off as well.
And it's so funny because you just see this woman in quotes, and I just like, Anya's, I don't want this, mama. And it's really funny. And they're like, well, man, I was in the makeup chair for hours, and he's all pissed off. But you end up having Twilight. He needs to go, and you get a little, recap enough there to go with the idea that there's going to be this interview. You have to have a mother and a father for Anya to get in there so that he can get in to do his spy work and things like that. I also really like that chapter page where it's almost like a video game character start, and you have to unlock the mother there. I thought that was pretty cool. But just look at Anya there. She even looks like she's like, she doesn't want to stand still long enough to take that picture. Such a cutie. But we go off, and I'm going to go because you're such a big Team Yor fan. Hashtag Team Yor. We'll go up because you go up to City Hall to see that she's kind of bullied, right?
Yeah, and this is I find that this dialogue is really good because it plays off very naturally, and you get a good feel for Yor even before she actually shows up, really, because we see we're in City Hall, the capital city of Berlin, I think. I don't know. That's where they're from. And apparently the big news of the day is that the offices were robbed, and then we see this trio kind of gossipy girl action, and they're kind of all their different stereotypes. You have the glasses lady and all that bone girl and all this.
She's smoking in City Hall. I don't know if you're allowed to do that. She better watch yourself, right? Smoking it up.
Oh my goodness. But yeah, so apparently they're just talking about this guy stealing a bunch of personnel files. Apparently he only stole the female resident files, which is a little pervy. Oh no. Apparently the section chief is a big perv as well. You better not be playing basketball and looking up the skirts like a Yu-Gi-Oh!
That's what he wants to do. I'm sure.
But the conversation comes back to Yor because they're all trying to mingle and chat, and Yor's like, I don't really know what to think about this robbery, and then she's talking about the chief as well, and Yor. What we get here is that Yor is a little bit of a space case, She's not fully clued in because these three are bouncing off each other real natural, and then they're talking about putting snot in the chief's coffee as a little joke, and then Yor's like, would that make the coffee taste better? And then they're like, oh jeez, oh come on, Yor, what a unique treasure you are.
Earth to Yor, Earth to Yor. At one point, do you think that the translation ended up changing it from tea to coffee for the West? Because that does not look like a coffee pot. It really doesn't. It looks like something you would make
like a teapot?
Tea in. It looks like a teapot to me.
Oh my goodness.
Hashtag teapot. But I just went. But the idea of snot, and she's like, would that make it? Because she is flighty. She is somebody, again, who isn't really, well, first off, here's the spoiler.
Okay.
We know this. She's an assassin.
Yes.
She has a very, very exciting side life. I think that standing around listening to these ladies talk shit on her is not that exciting. And she's just probably at one point saying, I got to stop listening to them or else I'm going to slice their throats because they're not nice.
A lot of the time, and we see it later on, she gets very preoccupied with the whole assassination thing. She might be thinking, I better not pour this tea wrong, so I don't assassinate him or whatever.
I'll assassinate him if he says anything about my coffee.
Poison the coffee.
But so that's the deal where they're jerks. They are, but this isn't the jerks like they're, hey, how's the coffee? It spills on her face. They're nasty. They're mean girls. They're just mean girls is what they are. Because they're like, hey there, you'd be so cute if you'd actually do something with yourself. That sort of half compliment, passive aggressiveness that they have. Mm-hmm. The funny thing about this is, though, first off, they basically say, you better find yourself a boyfriend. They're going to take you in. I mean, here in this country, if you don't have a significant other, especially as a woman, it looks like by 30, you're suspicious. Yeah. They haul you away.
Whoops.
And I kind of like that as well because of the idea that if you have your just not wanting a boyfriend, maybe whatever, and you can't just say oh, you got to get one, you got to get one. That's not woke either. Oh. And so you have this idea she needs to get one because she's afraid that she'll be taken away.
It's all keeping up appearances. That's what this whole thing is. That's all the whole thing
is, yeah. And so I do like that. The funniest thing, though, is that when they invite her to a party, and in my mind, the big joke, they don't necessarily play it off fully hey, let's invite Yor to this party and tell her to bring a boyfriend because she don't have one. They do ask her they feel bad to ask and say you can bring someone, which throws her off. But the idea of she'll probably get that perv who stole the files to take her. And she does. That's the best thing because Twilight stole the files. It made me laugh so much because I'm like, oh, yeah, that's what's going to happen, you jerks. But yeah, you end up having that. So it's appearances, like you said. It's keeping up appearances. To me, there's also the idea of why you would do something and why you're because she's probably going to blow this off. She probably will. She probably has before. She doesn't have a boyfriend, all that. And her brother calls and starts talking to her about why don't you have a boyfriend? All these things going on with that. And she definitely lies to him. Says, I'm going on a date. I'm going to this party. Well, somehow the brother has somebody who's going to be at the party. So he says, I'll ask how this guy is. Not in the way of, I think you're lying, you lying jerk.
No, he cares about her and he wants to, make sure that, she's got the right person.
And here's my little twist here. Is that he says, I need to have somebody check this out because you know how you are. You're naive. You end up doing this. And then I sat and think, oh my God, you had your heart broken. Who broke your heart before? Who was the bad guy before? Because it's obvious the brother is worried about that. And then if that twist and turns into her being basically I'm going to kill people. But you get this whole deal where she does care about her brother. He's going to get a promotion. This guy's not going to take the promotion because he's worried about Yor. He may have to leave town. He may have to do these things and he can't leave her behind because she is so flighty. You would expect that Yor might end up just walking out of the building where she lives and getting hit by a bus because she's not paying attention.
You're thinking about how to take out the dog walker beside her or whatever.
Yeah, really. And then she ends up on Trash Island. I don't know. She has that and doesn't even know. She's like one of those people that would go for a walk and then realize they are on the bad side of town before,
totally.
It's too late. And then you end up...
But she could probably survive that,
Wherever she is the bad side of town for bad guys, right? Because she's so kick-ass. But I like this thing where you see that she does really care for her brother because in that first scene, the flightiness, you tend to even go along of somebody who has no feelings and doesn't care. Well, she does. And now I'm starting to want her to have a date with anybody because now I feel it's a roller coaster ride of emotions with Yor. It is. Yeah. No, Team Anya all the way. But you go on because she really does want to ease the mind of her brother and wants him to be able to accept this job. She doesn't really necessarily pine for a man. It doesn't seem like she even cares about that at this point.
The priority, well, first of all, it was priority of like making sure that she was keeping up appearances with the Gossip Girls.
Yeah.
But now it's like, Yuri, my bro, he's really worried about me, so I got to make sure that he stops worrying, and I got to bring a good guy to the party. And so and the whole thing about her having a boyfriend, that's like the least of her worries right now.
And with that, same with Twilight, because Twilight, his job does not facilitate a family, so he's never thought of it. But he doesn't seem at the point we're at that he cares about that. He just is a spy.
It's why
he's
they're such a good fit for each other.
And they're such a good fit. And also, again, I want to stress why I like this a lot is because, back in the day, old people shows like a Moonlighting or a Cheers, where you always have the two main characters hate each other. They hate each other, hate each other, hate each other. Oh, my God, they love each other. You don't have that here. The trope of hating until they end up where it's just that they don't have time or care for the thing. At the end of this chapter, you start to already see that they at least like each other. They may not be fully in love and they're trying to use each other for different things, but at points with Anya, Team Anya, you get to hear and see their inner thoughts. And it's the inner thoughts where, and when you see you're talking, she even thinks like, oh, I'm never going to have anybody else. Like there's more to just the job. Now, by the end, it's like, all right, now that's taken care of. I can go back to straight up murder. And Twilight's, I can go back to the spyings. But they are kind of made for each other in that sort of way. But it's not played out like they're star-crossed lovers that are meant to be.
It's very, like, as unnatural as the concept is, it is played very naturally, Yeah. And they're two individuals, and they have like a mutually beneficial relationship that develops.
It's like Can't Buy Me Love, the movie, right? Can't Buy Me Love.
People movie. But
it was the best. It was the best. But so she's on the phone and then gets the call. And the thing that threw me off here is because at points she's crazy, she's going, but at this one point, I really thought that they were playing off the idea that she didn't even know she was an assassin. I thought that she got activated. I thought they were like Red 22, Thorn Princess, blah, 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 and zoom, zoom, because at one point her eyes are swirling, and then she ends up hearing that and goes off.
And she's like a completely different person afterwards.
Oh, yeah. And she goes, but again, it makes me think, like you said, appearances and the idea of a Batman. What's the real guy, Batman or Bruce Wayne? Because most people say it's Batman. Bruce Wayne is the disguise.
It's the mask.
When she ends up the Thorn Princess, now she's in her element. She's very relaxed. She's very good at this deal. She likes the killing. She is as good as Wrong Turn. Loves the killing and goes off. It's like, all right, but it also gets to, in my mind, like, all right, I don't have to deal with those mean girls and that nonsense. And even the idea, after talking to her brother, that she has, putting up appearances, but that's also for her brother as well. They both work in the, city hall and civic deals. So I think that that's also to help him advance as well, because as we're seeing, a lot of stuff is reliant on what your family ends up doing. But boy, she goes up, pretty much disguises herself or comes off as a hooker. And goes off, or a masseur, but goes up and then goes to town. Everybody gets killed in this hotel that all these bad people are staying at.
We're told that it's a traitorous scumbag. We don't actually know what he did, but he's not alive to do much about it. I'll tell you that.
And I love the idea. He's such a bad guy. He's the vice minister from the auditing department, and so but I like that. It doesn't have to be something crazy, but he has done some things. I think he stole some money, laundered money or whatever. He knows he did bad things. He has sequestered himself in the top of this hotel. He has bodyguards. She just goes, and she's very nice about it. I mean, I'll give her that. She asked him, may I have the honor of taking your life? At least that's polite, right? And you see codename Thorn Princess, but it kind of hits you just out of nowhere after that good setup of her being this timid girl, doesn't have a boyfriend, and then just phone call, boom, kill. And you see the most horrific scene in this as she's trying to scrub her hands. Not quite the Hamlet deal or whatever, Macbeth, but she's mad because she got blood on her dress. It's her only dress. Again, she doesn't go out much, and you wouldn't. You're an assassin. Luke. You don't hit the town all the time. You're going to get in trouble, right? You don't need that. But this is what sets things in motion because she has to go get dry cleaning with this one dress. And that's the cool thing. And they really do go through these horrific kills and stuff. This one guy, the guy who's like laying with his face flat, it looks like his whole face must have just been smashed. Blood everywhere. Also, they were all armed. She had some knives and things like that. And so you go from that scene. And again, just imagine we cut to commercial, right? They're going there. She's, oh, my God, I got this on my dress. Oh, well. And you see her stepping over dead bodies as she leaves. Commercial. And you come back. Did you find Mama? And it's just, I'm like, she's so cute. You go from that horrific deal back to cute Anya. And you have Twilight. Again, he's in over his head. This is something he doesn't understand how to do. And it's good, too, because it's spelled out that the agency, there's been a lot of spy purging, a lot of spies being arrested and killed. There aren't enough good women spies that would fit the bill as a wife for Twilight. I also think he's very picky, and he doesn't want to get anybody that he wouldn't get because he's a good-looking dude, right? But he's busy. He's trying to do things. He sends Anya off to watch TV, which she loves, and at points is jumping around and rubbing the TV. She's so excited about things and all, and she's always singing. She's just cute. I mean, every time you see, she is a gem as chaos is going on around her about how we're going to get this mother, what's going on. And, you know, she is freaking out. She's not freaking out. She's freaking out as she does. At one point, she is just dancing at the TV, which makes me so happy and makes me so deal. Now, when we get through this, too, one of the things that you end up having the heartstrings and stuff like that.
Oh, they get pulled.
Yeah, even though it's not Twilight's daughter for real, but still, she thinks she's the problem and says, is it, you know, having a kid, is that what keeps the mama away? And it's so sad because we already see that this thing would have went to crap if he didn't have Anya anyway. But you also love her. But they go because you end up realizing, ooh, Anya. And here's the thing. I'm not a fancy fellow, Luke.
No.
I don't know if you can tell that from talking to me or what I talk about. I'm here in a moldy basement. Shorts and
hoodie.
That's what I have, a hoodie. I have my Eagles hoodie on. I got shorts. I even have my hat on right now. And so when they say, ooh, you're going to have to, you know, spruce up Anya here, I'm like, I don't know. She looks okay to me. But they're going to go get her some
This is like the only thing she has to wear, though, because she's wearing this all chapter 1. So it's about time that...
Just like my shorts and hoodie.
You know, there you go. Relatable.
Yeah.
Like good.
But they have to get her an outfit, right?
Before we get into that, I just want to point out, because we're going to get... That's the whole thing. They're going to go and get new clothes for Anya. But I like... And this is something that we saw in the first chapter as well. Lloyd's, or Agent Twilight here, he's handling, like, this operation the way he's trained it. Like, the first thing he does, he contacts the tech guy, Frankie, or like the intel guy. He's like jack of all trades. And he brings him a bunch of intel for all and these are the files that they were talking about that was stolen.
They stole the files.
All the female personnel. And they're basically narrowing down who is, you know, single and who could be eligible to fit the role. But I like so much that, like, obviously this isn't going to work. It's just a mountain of paperwork. And it's, like, as you were saying, Anya is, like, the missing link that, like, connects this all together. As we see it as we get into the next scene. But I like how, like, Lloyd is throwing all of these spy techniques at the problem. But it's really, like, you know, he's going to have to... Yeah, and it's something different from his playbook. That's why he's getting thrown off.
He can't think outside the box. Even at a point where it gets a little bit like you're like, oh, I hope that doesn't happen. Because when Frankie's there talking to Twilight, like, okay, this is what we're going to do. And the plan legitimately seems that it's not just like he's playing Tinder with these files, like he's swiping right and left to do the deal. What they are looking for is a good-looking woman of a certain age, without any sort of baggage that would cause troubles with the school, but enough baggage that they can blackmail their asses into this. They act like they are not going to do this very good.
No, there's nothing up and up about this.
No, like... and they are going to end up saying to these, in a, you know, state that we're in here that does round up women because they're 30 years old and don't have a boyfriend. So they're going through, and they even say, like, if we can find dirt on them, we can use it for leverage. And if we can't, we'll make up dirt. That's what Frankie says. And then you end up where, again, Twilight says, I'd like to avoid any weird complications. So he doesn't say no, really, but he says enough that you still think he's a good guy.
Yeah.
Like, he doesn't want to do that, but if they had to, I think they would. But they do go off to get the clothes, and this is where we get the whole, the three of them together in the same room, because you end up having this whole deal. They're going to get Anya clothes, and this is my favorite part, is when you end up having Twilight, and it's like, okay, go with that lady. She's going to get your measurements and things. And she just yells out, am I being sold to traffickers? Is that like the stranger danger? She's so nervous, too. Look at her. She freaks out. She completely freaks out. And the worst is that Twilight does then say, not if you're a good girl. I'm like, oh, man, she's running scared. But she can read minds.
Twilight has such a good, back and forth just with Anya. Like, the amount of times I read chapter 1, and the amount of times when, Anya's just like, can we get a size pistol? And then he says, only if it's on sale. It's just it's real, good,
because that's banter. That's what he does. Like you said, he's still in a mode. Yeah. He's not in a father mode, but the thing is, he's starting to be. Mm-hmm. And I like this because when we talked about Anya dancing and singing at the TV, it is that spy show that she loves. That's why she was so excited when she saw through the mind that Twilight was a spy. Because that's her favorite show. And everything that comes up with this, where oh my God, am I being sold to traffickers? He's like, where is she getting this? It has to be that spy show. And he's starting to become a father without even knowing it, Luke. He's starting to worry with that.
He thought that he was teaching her.
Yes, but the spy show was
the spy show was teaching everybody.
Yeah. And so, again, you said, I like this, where Twilight is looking at the room now, and he's good, and you see that he has to have a photographic memory.
Oh, yeah.
There's no doubt about it, because he remembers all the files of the women. So he's going, it's like, okay, that, the seamstress was on the list of unmarried women. She's okay, but, she did have some problems. It's so funny. There's the lady measuring up Anya, and she has been arrested for political activities in the past. I'm like, Jesus Christ. Yeah. I know, really. She's settling down now. But then he even says, at points, she's not really the thing that I'm into.
A little old for the role.
Yeah. And I'm like, look at you. Yeah. But then, all of a sudden, from behind him, Yor speaks up to the lady who's running this whole shop, says, excuse me, and Twilight is freaked out because this woman ended up sneaking up behind him without him knowing, and that is not something that he's used to. He takes it as he's slipping. He thinks that he is, it must be this kid and all the stress, but it's not.
No, she's not good at her job.
It's Yor. That's what she does. And again, though, if you go with appearances and stuff like that, that kind of is a mess up by Yor, really, for her to be able to do that and not combusting in and dropping things, not doing the Clark Kent clumsy deal and doing that, because she ended up going. And if this was somebody who was looking for an she just gave herself up. Yeah. But he thinks that it's him. And then, his photographic memory, he knows who this is. And it's funny because she's the perfect fit. That he didn't say before, oh my God, what's up with this? He's just going through. But she really is the perfect fit with nothing in the past. She's single. She's 27. She's good looking. All these things going on. And he's just kind of thinking about it. And, but again, he's like, I was sloppy, all this. But I do like the connection right away, because it's not like them hating, like I said. Now, the issue is that it's about to happen. They're about to ask, because at this point, we didn't really point out fully, Yor needs a date for that party. She needs the kind of exact same thing. I mean, Twilight wants to, I don't know why you have to, I guess you have to get married for the look of it, but we'll get into that in a minute, because I have a problem with that. But still, you end up with her wanting a date. And it's funny, because if you're Team Yor, this is where she's adorable, too, where she's going to ask Twilight to go out, and then you go from there, because it cracks me up what she thinks might happen if he had a wife.
Well, this is just because Lloyd or Twilight is looking at her, and he's like, this is where it gets thrown off that, Yor kind of she's aware of things as well, because she's like, you've been staring at me this whole time. Can I help you? And this is where Lloyd, or I keep on saying Lloyd, but it's Twilight really. Twilight's like, he thinks again that, he's off his game because he was staring at her the whole time. But that's just because Yor is that good. And this is
and
where,
now he was off his game. Like I said, the appearances, he's
and this
down.
is like but the thing is, both of them are so like concerned with their mission right now. For Yor, it's getting the boyfriend, and for Twilight, it's getting the wife. That immediately, like, they're like, this guy or this girl is perfect. It fits right in. But before, well, almost, because it's whenever that Anya is talking to him.
Anya.
And she's like, I got measured. And then
Papa,
I got measured. And that's the clicker, because Yours like about to go in and, mission accomplished. But then she's like, there's a kid. Papa, oh no, he has a kid. I nearly asked another woman's husband out on a date. And once again, she brings up the assassination, because she's like, I've heard that women have killed others for that.
Like, that's what you think about, right?
Of course, no one would kill me, because I'm like master assassin. But,
She actually, it's like, his wife would go to kill me, but she's not going to, I'll kill her first.
Yeah,
I'm like, wait. But that's where the telepathy comes in. And that's where you see the idea that not only can Anya read minds, but because she's reading the minds and can read both and whatnot, but she's also very smart. It's not like she's just reading a mind and going whatever. She sees that the mission is in danger right now because this whole deal. Oh my God, he has a wife. Oh no, so she's the one who starts yelling, well, I'm so sad that Mama's gone. And also in the background of this, I get that Anya's afraid that if the mission is a failure, she's gone.
Yeah,
and she likes this new life. Mm-hmm. So she's trying to save it. And she's just like, well, I'm so sad that Mama's gone. And that was where Twilight, and it's weird too, because he should know that something is really going on. He's like, what is she doing? But then he realizes, I miss Mama so much. Is your wife away? And he jumps right in.
Mm-hmm.
Now, the thing is that Twilight seems to want to add a lot more information at points, especially when he's conked over the head. But he does a pretty good job here. I like at the one point, even later, when Anya's like, oh my God, Daddy's such a liar. And it's so impressed. But this is where things are going on. And now Yor is thinking about stuff about having this guy. Maybe I can ask him out. Maybe I can have a boyfriend. Maybe then I could be a assassin and won't be exposed and all that. And boy, Anya's all excited now. She's just like, and the thing is, it looks like she's scared at first, again, because of the idea of a spy versus an assassin, probably from the TV. And she's like, assassin in her mind as she's sweating and all that. But then she's like, so cool, because she's looking there.
Oh, man.
Assassin. And she's looking, her head's going back and forth on a swivel. Spy, assassin, spy, assassin. So cool. And then that's where it says, the girl was starved for entertainment. It makes me laugh so much that this is also just a game that she's trying to play about all of this stuff. And you have some issues, though, with this. And we don't think that it matters of, oh, my God, that'll be that Yor's exposed as an assassin or that, because you're not that far into it really right now. You're really concentrating more, in my mind, on Twilight trying to get, a woman. And the way it plays out, since this is the second chapter, I think that Yor at this point is looked at as, okay, well, this is great because Yor needs something. And then Twilight can take advantage of that to get what he wants for Anya, because I'm all in it for Anya and whatnot. But they end up talking about each situation or whatever. Yeah. And she says, I need this, fake boyfriend. I need to go to this party. My brother, he worries about me. I want him to get this job, and I'll repay you anyway.
And that's
now, usually,
clicker.
And usually this leads to some sexy scene on some internet site. But here, it's that he needs the deal. Well, if you want to help, you can, because I need somebody to pretend they're, my wife. We go. Now, this is my problem that I just thought of while we were talking about it. The idea of not really needing to get married. But then you think, well, they have to, because the school look into it. But what's the school going to think? They got married a day before the interview. I mean, it's not going to work either way. I think it works worse the day before. Oh, this is my wife. Oh, yeah. You're awake for how long? Well, like 22 hours.
Well,
But
you
know what I mean?
Twilight is smooth enough that he could have a rational explanation for even that.
He might. I also think they might fudge the stats, but, they might do some things with it.
You got Frankie on
because
the case.
of the spy deal and Frankie.
Yeah.
But still, the idea, you could fudge the stats and not really get married, I'm sure, as well. But he's going full out. He's playing the role. But yeah, they set up a date. They're going to have this date, and they seem happy about it, but more happy probably about the idea that they have kind of completed that part of their missions. And even then, it's not like Twilight says to Yor, okay, well, if you do this, you're going to marry me. But even then, he says, I'll lure her in with an initial small request.
Yeah, it's a little slippery,
Yeah, and the idea, like, when is this, like, what is this long game?
Yeah.
When is the divorce in this whole thing? Are you just going to...
That's the thing. Like, with this, like, they're both helping each other out here. But, like, yours, like, being perfect... Well, she's being perfectly straight, apart from the whole assassin thing. Whereas Lloyd is still, like, he's there's layers going on here.
Even more than that, it seems as if Yor is excited to have this boyfriend. And not even just she is more, because she is the one, oh my God, he's such a wonderful man. Oh my goodness. Like, she is already seemingly falling for Twilight more than Twilight. Twilight's still right on the job and things like that. Yeah. And to give him credit, he isn't oogling her up either. But at one point he was staring at her. But again, he was staring at her because he was thinking of all the things that he needed to do and stuff like that. So I don't mind. But yeah, they seem very happy. You end up in this weird scene, and it was mentioned before to Frankie, where you end up having Twilight, I got to get this mission on with. I mean, I got to get this done. The agency's even sending me on different missions, these side missions. Times are tough or whatnot. And you go into the scene where they go into the beans and nuts aisle of the store, and you do have Anya loves the peanuts. She wants the peanuts. And then when they check out, there's a weird dialogue, but it's that spy deal where he's being passed a quarter or whatnot, a coin that ends up having some spy plans
and the whole message.
And the interaction is the cipher that you use then and stuff. It's cool.
Yeah.
It threw me off at first. I will tell you. I'm like, what's this ribbit guy?
They had a similar thing in the first chapter, because they had the guy with go like meow, and that was a different cipher. And
so it's kind of a cool idea. It's a cool idea. And he gets this deal where he has to go and take out some smugglers. They have some stuff, and he gets Frankie involved who shouldn't be, and Frankie's all pissed off. It makes me laugh that Frankie's there. He's got his goggles on and stuff, all the tech that he has. And he even says at the one point, like, boy, you don't have enough money to pay. You're out of money. And I like that, too, because I assume that Frankie sticks around, and you get the idea that he's also kind of a buddy. You get that kind of deal, he's going to stay. But the deal, though, is there's a lot of precious things. And again, this shows that Twilight will do some, kind of side things to get the deal. Yeah, because he says they have a lot of treasures and stuff. Yeah, if one went missing, nobody would really know. And he's like, I'm your man. The other thing, though, that makes me laugh, and it's such a trope of this, too, is the idea, there's like 2 or 3 people here that were taken out. There's way more, and there's going to be a lot of troubles. And they go to do this. The problem is that this date is at this moment. And you think Twilight thinks that it's just, this is in and out. I'll get this, That's
probably why he got Frankie in as well, to get it done quick.
Yeah. And he's kind of arrogant with the idea that anything that comes up, like he could schedule 17 spy missions before, 5 minutes of 8 and have a date at 8, and he'll be able to do it because he's that good. The problem is he gets delayed, and the problem is he gets kind of beat up, and he is in bad shape. But while that's going on, like you said about Yor, which makes me almost team Yor, but not quite. She's not sitting there saying, Jesus Christ, this guy, he's going to ruin my plans. He's going to do this. She's worried. She thinks that maybe he got in an accident.
Because he's such a good guy, and she's seen how good he can be, even though it's all an act.
And again, she's not acting selfish. She's not acting like, man, I'm going to go to this party, and then my brother's going to find out and stuff. She is actually worried about him at points. So you see that as she's waiting, shit has gone wrong at the smuggler dock. I mean, things are blowing up everywhere. They are getting beat up. They're getting shot at. They're running. Poor Frankie, he ain't used to this. He's going around and going. but they do end up grabbing stuff. And it's funny then because Twilight then sees like a ring, probably worth like $1 billion, this thing. And he just grabs it. He's like, yeah, we'll use this, and all this stuff going on as he's trying desperately to get to Yor. And now you feel bad for her because she thinks she was stood up. She thinks that this nice guy stood her up. What is going? She even says, so this is how it feels to have your feelings toyed with. And so the idea that I thought she might have had boyfriends before that hurt her, maybe not. Maybe she has been afraid of this all along. And she's afraid to step out of her box. And now that she does, she'll never want a man again. He has ruined her. She doesn't know what to do.
Hashtag Team Yor.
Yeah, Team Yor ends up being pretty, tough, saying, yeah, because I wouldn't go to that party.
Oh, no, I'd
turn
be
right
out.
around.
Yeah, I'd be out.
I would already have an excuse that I'd give my brother about, my husband now, Twilight, he gets frisky. I don't know what I'd say, but I ended up taking a taxi in a flat, something. But to go to that party, she is setting herself up for ridicule and just nonsense. And she does end up going there. She even brings a gift, and, all the ladies are there with their boyfriends and husbands. And then right away she goes off and sits by herself, and my heart's breaking again. The thing is, I wish that at some point, I don't know how it would have worked out, but she was with Anya, who could take her there. Like, I'll meet you there, but I couldn't find a babysitter. You take Anya and go. And then Anya would sit there and listen to all these assholes' thoughts and then get the dirt on them so that you could have Yor throw shade. That'd be awesome.
Yeah.
But she's all upset, and she's sitting there by herself, but she also is she's letting her brother down. Everybody's again talking to her like she's not even there half the time, and almost, hey, look at this is Yor that I talk about. I mean, look at her, and it's sad. You know what I mean? It kind of is really sad.
She's like, they're like saying, yo, we should report her. Like, we are going to report her straight away because where's that boyfriend? And so like, it's mission failed for Yor at this stage.
Is this the guy that is supposed to report to her brother? Her brother said somebody, so they must have, a circle of friends or know something about, because he did say somebody was going to be there. And the one girl does bring over the guy to say, oh, here she is. Oh, and that's where Yor steps up her game. I wonder if I could kill everybody here and then it wouldn't get back to my brother. Because the thing is that's funny is she could. And not even physically. She seems to know how to not get caught either. So she could, it would not mean anything to her to slaughter everybody in here if she was a bad person. And the way they're treating her, you almost want her to do this at points.
Because they're proper horrible here. The guy, Dominic is the guy, and he seems all right. And even then he's trying to, because his wife really is like the leader of the pack here. But, and he tries to
she's the queen bee. Yeah, that's what she is, definitely.
He tries to calm her down, cut it out. Camilla is such a bitchy name. Oh,
it is. I don't like that.
But but Yor's like, you know what? I could just. They're talking all this. They're throwing all this shade, talking all this baloney. I could just. I don't like. She looks like she could do it with the fingernails. Like this is.
She's
legit.
Cracking her knuckles like she's getting ready.
Yeah.
Like I wished it, and I don't know. I didn't take notice earlier. I wish that and hope that if we do go back, that's the thing she does as she's about to go do the assassinations. That's her routine. Crack, 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 and I'm ready because she is about to slaughter them. And like I said, this isn't a normal deal where you're sitting in there, and even if you could take him, I could kill that guy, but you're going to go to jail. She's not. She won't get caught. She could do it.
Yeah.
No, because she could just waltz out, it seems. And so she's going to do that. Everybody's laughing, whatnot. But the big thing then is the door. And this goes on, the nonsense and the awfulness and things like that. And then somebody comes in the door, and it's Twilight. And it's one of those things that I thought what was going to happen here is that Twilight was going to embarrass Yor so much that he was going to have to agree to more things in either way of the back and forth, because he shows up. And he looks like, at first I thought his eye was shot out. He is destroyed. He's bleeding the side of his face, the side of his mouth. He's there. But the thing is, please forgive me. Now, the thing is, he has a concussion, right?
Yeah, totally.
Obviously.
Totally.
he's lost his game, and he's mixing and matching his stories because he's out of it. I mean, even when they show him talking, he can't even have his eyes all the way open. He's like, oh, please forgive my tardiness. I'm Lloyd Forger, yours husband.
Oh.
And this is the thing. I thought right away that these bitchy girls were going to be like, no, that's not right. And they start looking, and I don't know, maybe that happened. But the thing is, everybody is just stunned. And you think in my mind, they're stunned because he's just beat up and bloody and nonsense. But again, I don't know that I'm taking into account that these people would look at Lloyd as such a fancy fella, even if he is bleeding. But yeah, and you're supposed to be my boyfriend, not my husband. He's like, yeah, crap. And he's all off. But he's doing this, and they start questioning him. You know, what do you do? Oh, I'm a psychiatrist. Oh, really? Why are you bleeding? Why's your half of your face caved in? I do this therapy where, we kind of duke it out. It's like a fight club, and they're real intense, my patients, and sometimes things get out of hand. The best is that Yor takes this as face value, even though she should know he's lying.
Yeah, she's like, that's what makes it so endearing, though.
It is, because, but that's the thing. Actually, in the meantime, she doesn't really know anything about him himself. So maybe she doesn't know he's lying about the husband part, but later on, because he has spelled out that this therapy he does is this, beat 'em up fight club therapy type of deal that I want to get involved with. Well, they end up where Yor thinks that she is actually administering psychiatric help at one point. It's one of the best parts of the whole deal. But even then you start seeing crazy things. You even have the queen bee, Camilla. She's pissed. She's like, no freaking way, because all of a sudden this bloody freaking Twilight is the belle of the ball here. He's the handsomest guy. He's
still got the suit, and he's very refined.
And he comes to. I think he shakes off the concussion, and he's like, hey. And even with the idea, I thought that it was a weird deal where he's like, this is my second marriage. So I'm like, I don't know how they're going to look at that, but it is that his first wife died. We have a kid. All these crazy things. And Camilla doesn't like it.
No.
She's pissed. She is so mad. So she's going to throw the lasagna at Yor, who then grabs it by her healed foot in a way that is a crazy type deal. It's almost like a flash move where it's all going to just go on. I think it is macaroni and cheese, right? Which they call in a fancy party macaroni au gratin, and throws it, and she actually saves them from the steaming hot napalm that is macaroni.
Nose.
Oh yeah, just gets it on her, and she's all upset. All this stuff going on, and so the party is all completely going great for Yor and Twilight, who everybody starts going, and Camilla's not done though, because she's like, "Did you know that your so-called wife is a masseuse and gives old men massages? Do you know that? She is not good." And he's like, "Oh, no, I think it's great." "What?" And he's like, no, she's helping her brother out with the money. And, old men, they get tense. You need a massage. So it doesn't work, but it's not going to. Anything Camilla could say, she could go through a whole list. It's not going to work.
Yeah.
Because this has nothing to do with anything that they're involved with. This is the thing for Yours. So anything that they'll bring, he's going to agree with and say it's great and all that stuff.
But that's the thing, this is all part of his act, but, when he's talking about, and obviously they probably had it all figured out, but he's talking about how, she's doing it for her brother, and, to endure all that hardship just for her brother, for the sake of another. Oh, my goodness. And this is when Yor's looking up, and, that is proper, she's fallen for him at this stage.
Yeah, she has. The thing is that's funny, in my mind, he's kind of stepped over what he shouldn't say either, because I don't think they talk that much.
Oh, really?
And I
think
that
this is all part of the...
Here's the thing.
Oh.
He ended up being told by her that she needed to go to the party because of her brother. The only reason he knows what that brother does and what has happened, he has researched her. He had that file about, and even said, oh, yeah, she has got a brother. It goes there. I think that he might be saying a little too much, but it's true. And all that going on.
She's smitten anyway, So.
And it's funny because what he's saying is probably 100% of why Yor is an assassin, because she's not really a masseuse, but what he's saying is even true with that. Also, I want to point out that it does show that she is pretty much undercover deep cut because he is a spy and got her file. It's not going to mention anything about an assassin.
Mhm.
And that would pop up if anybody in the government was even on the, up and up of
Remotely aware.
anything.
Yeah,
That she's doing it. So it does show that both of them have their deal going.
Secrets.
But
layers.
She is in love.
Oh my
I'm
goodness.
telling you, she is ready to go have Anya's sister now. They're going to go get busy.
Whoa.
And so they go off and they're going to go. Everything went great, except again, you end up having Twilight. I'm really sorry. I was addled. I didn't know what was going on. You end up at one point, like, Yor kind of gets a little quiet. Because I think at this point, when they get in the car, you have that, again, Can't Buy Me Love thing, that old person's movie, of the idea. I think Yor thinks that they're in love now.
Oh, yeah.
I think that when they get in, you don't want to hear it's like a scene in a movie, like She's All That, anything like that you do the fake boyfriend-girlfriend thing, and then one of them falls for the other, and then afterwards, hey, I want to tell you something, and you think, oh, they're going to ask each other out, and they're going to be a real couple. Man, we should do this some other time because we fooled them. High five. And like the other one's brokenhearted.
Oh.
I think that's what's going on. She's fallen for him, and then he's going right with the, oh, man, I messed up the deal. Sorry about it. Oh, man, that was such a crazy thing we were doing. Where she ends up, because she does look sad. And she says, listen, Lloyd, because she wants to continue.
Oh, totally.
She wants to add on to the contract. And then, again, these are the cool things about this. You end up having a car come and hit them, or a van hits them. And she does end up being flighty again in her everyday thing. Again, though, you had her brother say she's always naive. She always ends up being duped by people, because the idea that that Twilight's patients in his psychiatric fight club have all gathered in a car with guns, smashed into the van, and what's going on? Why'd they hit us? Oh, don't worry about them. They're just my patients, and they want more therapy. And it just goes with that. She's fine. And they end up going with
psychiatry was such a dangerous job.
My God.
There you go.
Yeah.
Perfect.
And even then, he's upset, and this is where he has been off his game.
Oh, yeah.
For different reasons. He's off his game because he likes her too.
Oh.
Because this car just snuck up and smashed them. And he's like, man, you're off your game. He does lead them away. They get out of the van. That ends up being like blown up and things like that as they're chasing or being chased at points by these smugglers. As you have Twilight trying to convince Yor that these are patients. I said at one point, the one guy comes and Yor just destroys him. And then she's like, oh, my God, I'm sorry. I know I'm not qualified to give out therapy. I don't have a license for that. Like, whew. And at one point, Twilight's like, she's either real dumb or real smart. I don't know which, but we'll see. And I really like that. I like them together in they're doing a mission without knowing, at least you're knowing it's a mission. And if she did know it was a mission, please, Twilight would have his whole life solved. She would kill everybody here in 2 seconds.
No problem.
It would not be a problem at all. But she doesn't want to give up the goods. She has to make lies. My brother taught me self-defense. I'm like, that's way more than that. As they are going, but you end up as they're connecting in this crazy
because you see
deal.
that here, like Twilight, he's impressed by
He's starting to fall.
You know?
He really happy. He's so impressed.
Oh,
he's laughing and he's like, "Oh my God, that was incredible! You sent him flying." And then she's saying, "And what I think that is going on here, layers, I say, is they are really solo mission people. I mean, especially yours. She goes kills people. She never has somebody there to compliment her on her kicks or her stabbings, right? Never anybody. And the idea of that happening, most guys would run scared, but you have a spy, Twilight. This is what he deals with as well. And it's fun to have backup and have these things. She's already better than stupid Frankie. Frankie couldn't do shit. She's already done so much better. So now you're thinking, boy, they're going to go on missions together. It's going to be the deal. But again, this whole thing is about appearances and not giving up the goods and things like that. But yeah, you end up having where they're getting shot at. At one point, it looks like Yor is really going to go on the attack. She looks so pissed off. And they start running away from gunfire. And then Yor, will you marry me? He's like, what? They jump out of the way. All these things going on. The problem is he was going to ask her that anyway for his deal. and he lost the ring, and he's pissed off. He doesn't have that ring now. Well, they're trying to look for it as these guys are converging on him, and you even have that deal where it's like a word bubble out of his eyes that says that he lost the ring, and I kind of think that's funny the way it's going on there. But yeah, so they're setting up things going on, and he does get to ask her. He proposes with a ring.
This page.
This would be a great. This would be a great ending to an anime show, like the episode, because you give them the sequence of it.
Okay, so that's the thing. They're cornered. They're behind the box, and this is where Twilight. He grabs a grenade, and he pulls the pin on it, and then he starts, exchanging the wedding vows for better or worse, for richer or poorer. In good times and in bad, in sickness and in health, as he chucks the grenade and puts the pin ring on yours finger, I pledge myself to you. And I go boom, and that's just like, that sequence is just, animated, that's going to be incredible. And that's the thing, because till death do us apart, or until my mission for Twilight and for my killing. And she likes killings.
And again, this would be so great on the screen.
I mean,
you could just see it happening as you have that voiceover with everything exploding and them doing the vows. And you have that, and that ends it. It's so good. Yeah, I think here's the deal. I really like that first chapter, though. But, I can't even remember what I gave it. But I know what I'm going to give this, so I'd have to go back and see. But what would you give this?
Okay. Well, yeah, I was going to base mine off what you said, but okay. Well,
no, you go first. I always end up going first.
Okay. So hashtag Team Yor. You know what's up. 9.5. I think it earns that. I think it's that good.
Ooh,
yeah, I'm telling you.
Positive, Lou.
I'm telling you. Well, let's be honest.
9.6.
Oh.
No, I was at 9.5 as well.
Oh, bless him.
So, yeah, I'm at the same deal. It's so good. I hope I gave that first chapter 9.9.
Oh, wow.
Because I really like that.
You might have even, I don't know, have you dished out any 10s yet? Because that is...
I thought I did on this, but I don't know, but it's close.
It's close.
And the only thing about that first chapter, I think, is the confusion I had at the very, very beginning when they're talking about the states and the things like that.
Oh, yeah.
It kind of swirled around and really didn't matter much as you went on to the personal deal. But boy, I do like this, and I like Yor, and just the idea of having them all together in the next chapter is so cool. It
makes you want to read chapter 3. Oh, boy.
Yeah, but thanks, everybody. I hope you continue enjoying the show as much as we enjoyed doing it.
Bless up.
And we will talk to you next week, and we are out.